Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. Sportsman Gun Centre have sent me two brand new scopes from Element Optics. These are both the Iris range, which is a new product that's designed to be an entry-level scope which capitalises on Element's excellent reputation, and you also still get the platinum lifetime warranty with them. Now both these scopes are $135.99, and there's a 3-9x40 and a 4-12x44. So that essentially means you've got 3 up to 9 times magnification with a 40mm objective lens, or you've got a 4-12 magnification with a 44mm objective lens. So let's have a look at them both and compare and contrast a few of the details. Let's start with a 3-9x40. So this has got a standard duplex reticle, which I'll pop on screen now for you to see what it looks like. But let's have a look and see what's in the box. You get an Element Optics sticker, an Element Optics instruction manual, Iris 3-9x40, owner's manual, full reticle information. You've got a cleaning cloth. There are Allen keys for fitting, and there's a throw lever here as well. It's got pop open lens caps front and rear. Let's just put those to one side. And here is the scope itself. So we'll have a look at this and I'll show you what you're going to expect upon arrival. Just put all these away. So there's a silica pack there, which keeps moisture at bay. So you can use either the stretch over lens caps at the front and rear like this, or you can pop the caps on that go over the tube like that, squish into place, front and rear. And that then gives you that option there, so you can see through the scope as normal. It's a very lightweight scope, it's a 1-inch tube, it's all aluminium, and it's got dials underneath the cap here. So those offer 12 minutes of angle per rotation. They've got little clicks on them, and each click is 1/4 MOA, which is approximately 1/4 inch at 100 yards. So let's just pop this label off, because I am going to be taking these shooting to see what they're like. Right, that's a throw lever. Let's have a look and see what a throw lever does, because not all of you will be familiar with what that means. A throw lever essentially is a little stud that fits into the dial here to control magnification. So if I then just pop that screw out with the Allen key, leave that there, that'll screw in. And that allows for fast magnification control from 3 to 9 times backwards and forwards like that. Now both these scopes are fixed parallax at 100 yards, which means that you won't necessarily get absolutely perfect focus if you go all the way to full magnification at close range, but of course at 100 yards or beyond you can use any magnification setting you want, and at the closer ranges it makes more sense to stay a little bit lower so you can get a nice clear image picture. The reticle image is focused with the fast focus eyepiece at the back here, and that compensates for the natural diopter of the lens within your eye. And once you've set that up, that will give you a crystal clear reticle regardless of magnification or distance. So it's a 1-inch tube. I'm going to put this on a rifle, take it out and do some shooting with it. It is waterproof, shockproof, it's all nitrogen purged, and the nitrogen purging means that it won't mist up internally when you get changing atmospheric conditions like temperature. All the optics are fully multi-coated, and as I say, you've got cap dials here which allow you to adjust elevation on the top, up and down, and windage on the right hand side. And of course, being affordable, you know, you get the full platinum lifetime warranty from Element, so you can rely on these, and they're pretty lightweight, so you're not going to have any trouble adding these to most types of rifle. Eye relief is 100mm, so you're not going to have any problem with it coming too close to your eye, but of course you do need to bear in mind it needs to fit far enough away so you get a nice comfortable picture. But with it being fairly modest magnification, with just a 3 to 9 or 3 times magnification ratio, you're not going to have too much problem getting a clear eye box picture, and everything's going to nicely be in focus. Now if I open up the 4 to 12, that's going to show you pretty much the same things. So I won't go through all the bits and pieces that come with it because they're all the same, but we can look at the scope in comparison. Now most people will be interested in the difference in specification between the two optics. I'm going to take that label off there. And when you look at them side by side, you can see there's not a huge difference. It's a little bit longer, is the 4 to 12, and it gives you slightly less elevation travel because the internal tubes within the outer tube, obviously being longer, can't move quite as much. Now both these scopes are second focal plane, which means the reticle stays exactly the same size regardless of the magnification setting you're using. The big difference between the 3 to 9 by 40 with a duplex reticle is that the 4 to 12 has a Raptor reticle, and that Raptor reticle has got two aim over marks below the central crosshair to allow you to make compensated shots for slightly longer distances. And of course the exact magnification setting you use changes the relative distance on target that you can see, so you can set the magnification exactly to your preference, so you always know what those two aim over marks are going to represent in terms of distance. So for example, you might zero the rifle at 50 yards on a 2 to rimfire maybe, and you could then take shots at 75 and 100 yards with those second aim over points. Now just have a look at the instruction manual in a little bit more detail. This will be very beneficial to new scope users. So iris 3 to 9 by 40 by scope, so that means it's a 3 up to 9 times magnification 40mm objective lens. Owner's manual, reticle information. So it says meet the iris, reliability and simplicity, capped windage turret, objective lens, capped elevation turret, 1-inch body tube, diopter adjustment, reticle focus at the back. Working through it tells you about mounting the rifle scope. It also tells you about eye relief and making sure it's the correct distance from your eye, and also leveling the reticle to make sure that the reticle is pointing both vertical and horizontal above the bore line of your rifle. Rifle scope adjustment, this covers here the actual reticle focusing procedure to make sure it's actually aligned to your eye's actual diopter itself. So the best thing to do is make sure you're looking into the distance, then look directly through the rifle scope and make sure you're not actually staring through it when you're changing the reticle focus. Look into the distance, let your lens and your eye relax, then look straight through again looking through the scope into the distance, and that will then show you when the reticle is immediately crisp in focus and that your eye is not actually adjusting itself to it. Zeroing your rifle scope covers the fact that you want to shoot under target, making sure you understand both the vertical and windage controls left and right as well as up and down. Fine-tuning your zero is talked about here. It gives you an idea of how to reset the turrets as well, because you can undo the centre screw there, lift them off and put them back to zero, so that when your rifle scope is actually zeroed, you can have the zero marker indicated on the actual point above it to make sure you know if you make any further adjustments where you need to move back to for your primary zero distance. Understanding minutes of angle describes how the fact that minutes of angle is in fact an angular measurement. It's not just about a specific distance on target at each range. That's why 1 minute of angle is approximately 1 inch at 100 yards on target, and your quarter MO clicks on the dial and then won't move that bullet impact by a quarter of an inch on target, approximately. It's not exactly that unit, but in terms of estimation, in terms of when you're looking at it or using measuring tape, it'll be close enough for those close range zeroing factors. This describes the reticle in the 3 to 9 by scope, gives you an enlarged view. It's a standard duplex reticle. I'll talk more about the Raptor reticle afterwards in the 4 to 12 scope. Accessories and spares, it lists your cleaning cloth. You obviously got your transparent bikini covers which stretch over the ends, and then it's got the flip up caps as well. Talks about the cleaning cloth and the throw lever as well as spares available for it. But it does have a platinum lifetime warranty and you shouldn't have any problems with this scope for the life of your rifle. So it's well worth looking at, reading through the instruction manual. It also gives you space to make any notes you want to here. Now, if we put the instruction book side by side, 3 to 9 by 40 and 4 to 12 by 44, flip that over there, we can look at the difference in the specifications shown. So magnification range 3 to 9 by and then 4 to 12. You've got the 1 inch tube for both of them. 40mm objective lens, 44mm objective lens. This covers the exit pupil size. Now the exit pupil is the size of the image coming out the back of the scope for your eye to see, and that changes slightly in different magnification settings. On the 3 to 9 scope, that goes from 13.3 to 4.4mm, so it gets slightly smaller as you zoom in with the scope. On the larger scope, that's 11 to 3.6mm as you zoom in. Both of them have the same 101.6mm eye relief, but again, field of view changes because you've got the difference in magnification. The lower magnification scope has a slightly larger field of view, so that goes from 34.6 feet to 11.6 feet wide at 100 yards because it's an angular measurement. Now on the larger scope, that's only 26 feet to 8.6 feet at 100 yards, so that slightly greater magnification does give you a slightly smaller field of view. Now in terms of the actual mechanical travel, which allows you to dial in the scope for distances as well as zeroing, the smaller scope has 80 minutes of angle, which is approximately 80 inches at 100 yards. The larger scope has 65 minutes of angle, again approximately 65 minutes, again approximately 65 inches at 100 yards. That will be enough to zero virtually any rifle, be it an air gun, rimfire or centerfire rifle in use at normal realistic hunting ranges, which the scope is ideally suited to. Parallax is fixed on both scopes at 100 yards, which means you don't have to adjust the image focus, and you will sometimes just have to drop the magnification bit so you can see a clear image. Don't worry too much about parallax at distances that this scope is going to be used on, because it doesn't have that much of an effect, and you'll mainly notice it as a focus difference rather than actual reticle shift. The final point to look at between the smaller and the larger scope, its overall length is 12.1 versus 13.3 inches, and that equates to 308 versus 337 millimeters. Relatively speaking, the weight is also different between the smaller and larger scope, and you go from 14.7 ounces or 416 grams to 16.1 ounces or 456 grams. Now both of those are still very modest weights to use on the sporting rifle, and you won't really notice them in terms of the relevant weight to the rifle itself. Now the instruction manual for the Raptor reticle does have a little bit more detail in it regarding the reticle itself, and this gives you approximate aim over marks with 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor. But when you learn to use these and experiment with them on different rifles, you can find how they're appropriate to your cartridge and calibre as well as the exact speed you're shooting at. There are also, with the Raptor, some stickers that come with it. You can put these on the inside of your lens cap and you can then mark out the zero range, what magnification you need to use, and when you use that magnification, exactly which distances are applicable for the different reticle stadia. And again, you can make notes on this in the back of the instruction book where there's space for those relevant details. Now I'm going to put the 4-12 scope on a rifle and take it out shooting. Everything I say about the 4-12, other than the difference in the reticle and the technical specifications, is identical to the 3-9. And I want to use this one just because I want to have a little bit more play around with a slightly more versatile reticle it offers.